Hello and welcome to Rising. This is a special report. We have breaking news. President Joe Biden has decided not to seek re-election after all. He just made this announcement in a statement. I will now read some of that statement. He says that it has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. While it's been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. He goes on to thank Kamala Harris for her service, and then in a separate statement, he endorses Kamala Harris to be the Democratic Party's presidential nominee. So this is all breaking news, just happening. Obviously, I was not able to go into the studio or even to get a hold of my co-host, Jessica Burbank, yet. We will be talking about this much more on Rising tomorrow, but quick takes, first impression. Obviously, I was someone who very famously, even to the end, was skeptical that Joe Biden would get out of the race. So I have to admit that I was wrong. The pressure was able to persuade him, particularly from Democratic elites and from the donor class. I did not change my mind at the last minute. I remained obstinately, defiantly skeptical that he was ever going to make this decision, but he has done it. So here we are. Now the question will, of course, be, does his endorsement of Kamala Harris means that she gets it by default, or will other people put their hats into the rings? People, for instance, perhaps like Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, Gavin Newsom of California. Those are two people who were polled as well in recent weeks by a kind of desperate Democratic elite looking for a separate candidate. So we shall have to see if we do end up with this contested convention or one of these zanier ideas. I mean, this is unprecedented in the modern times. This has not happened in decades and decades and decades, a truly contested convention. So anything is possible now, I suppose. Obviously, there will be a lot of interest in who Kamala Harris, if she is the candidate, selects as her VP. My guess, although I should really stop making predictions at this point, I would say here's just a guess. I will not state it with confidence, or I will not put money on it, that Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro would be a strong choice for her. He's a very popular, moderate Democratic governor of the state of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, who got some scrutiny during the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump's life, because that happened in Pennsylvania, and he spoke very, I think, movingly, Shapiro did, and admirably about the victim, the person who was killed during that shooting, who was a state employee who was known to Josh Shapiro. So I think that would be a strong choice, but I don't know any more than anyone else at this point. We'll have to wait and see. In terms of the bigger picture of Biden stepping aside, I accept, based on the polling, that this is perhaps certainly in the best interest of the Democratic Party, that Kamala Harris or someone else right now on paper has a better chance of beating Donald Trump, so the move makes sense. At the same time, he did win the process, even if the process was not, remotely a fair fight, or the Democratic Party didn't put any effort into having a real primary process, a competitive primary process. There were obviously concerns by a majority of Democrats with his age, even months ago before the debate performance. So I wouldn't exactly say that the Democratic base has been clamoring for Biden and now they're going to have someone else shoved down their throat. At the same time, this is an example of just elite pressure and media pressure and donor pressure exerting its will on the Democratic Party and getting another candidate. And I think there is something a little odd about that at a time where the main thing Democrats are running on is the threat to democracy that Donald Trump poses, allegedly. Was this a Democratic decision-making process to arrive at removing Biden from the ticket? I don't know. I think they might face some scrutiny on that front. So here it is. Again, President Biden will not seek re-election after all. He's just made that announcement. He says we'll hear more from him in the coming week. I know we'll have a lot more to say about it on Rising tomorrow. You won't want to miss our show. I will see you then.